we've been and a little bit about what is involved with this specific site, why this site and the cluster of sites it's a part of are important. We just crossed the Aucilla River. Back in the colonial period, it wasn't called that. Aucilla comes from a Timucuan word, asile, that means the withered leaf. In the time that the first Europeans came through here 500 years ago, the Aucilla was called the River of Avitachuco. It was named for the Apalachee town that was over right near where we were standing when we started our trip this morning, on the west side of what is now Lamont. Now, where we are through most prehistory, long time before anybody from Europe showed up, is a cultural boundary. The thing is, we didn't know how much of a cultural boundary it was until we started our work at this site, which is called the Floyd's Mound site, named after Bobby and his family, and the South Mound site, which is about a mile that direction. They're both part of what appear to be a cluster of sites on this side of the river. Now, to kind of try to provide a little bit of background, on the east side of the Aucilla, in the early contact, early historical period, from here all the way to the Atlantic, down to Orlando, where it is now, and up into Georgia, around what is now the Okefenokee Swamp. All of that territory in Peninsular Florida and this part of Panhandle, Florida, was the territory of the Timucuan Indians, or the Timucuan speakers, if you're referring to them by their language. They were divided at contact into about 15 major chiefdoms that were ruled by a ruling class and control specific territories. Now, of all of those chiefdoms, from an archaeologist's perspective, you have different archaeological artifacts, different pottery, different other things that are associated with different groups. The westernmost of the Timucuan chiefdoms was a type of ceramic and a type of artifact that has just recently been defined. My mentor, my teacher, John Worth, when he was working with Brent Wiseman over at the Fig Spring site on the Itchitucknee River, first found this culture about 30 years ago. It's called the Swanee Valley culture. Now, until we started our work at this site, we had no idea how far the Swanee Valley culture extended, because the nearest known Swanee Valley sites before we started our work at this site are actually over near Lake City, about 20 miles or so west of Perry. I talked to a guy named Louis Tesser. Louis, who knows virtually everything about archaeology in Florida, indicated to me that he thought there might be a site about 30 miles that way that is in Madison County that's associated with this culture, but this is immediately near the Aucilla River. It doesn't look like it, but that pasture that's right over there, Jim Dunbar, our board chair, when I began trying to map this site, was kind enough to provide a LiDAR, and there is, running from that pasture and this site over that direction, what appears to be a path of some kind that runs down to the edge of the river.